All right, so we're going to be talking about how you guys are supposed to be looking at ROAS within your ad account, especially when you're scaling e-commerce, software tools, anything that you're running a funnel through on Meta, Google, or TikTok today. This is going to be applicable for you to stop wasting your money on terrible ad sets and simple things that if you haven't learned yet as an advertiser, then you should be focused on, as well as how can we look forward now. It's 2025. We've been running ads for a long time. If you don't know who I am, I'm Chaira Nakaram. I founded Conversion Win about a year ago now, but I've been in the e-commerce space since 2017, and I've been working with e-commerce stores to scale past that first, major hurdle. How do you get past the 5, 10K mark a month? Then how do you get past the 100 a month mark? That's really the goal here. If you have a store already that's profitable, it's not hard to get it a little bit more profitable, and find adjacent markets to scale it. So that's where we want to step in. And if you have a business and you're interested in that, I have a link down below for you to get in touch. But if you're just a beginner and if you're starting out in the e-com world, or you have some kind of tool, there's a lot of AI wrappers that you could be making today and promoting, and there's a lot of profit to be made there. There's a lot of D2C potential still with advertising. It can't be completely overlooked. Paid acquisition is not the best way to build a business primarily, but if you are building a brand, if you are already selling things, you have a profitable product, then obviously advertisement in any form is going to be a huge factor in your scale. When you're looking at different ad platforms, your return on ad spend is, especially in e-commerce, one of the major metrics you're going to be focused on every day. You're going to log into your ad accounts and you're going to look across ad sets, and you're going to either be upset, you're going to be making heavy changes, and it's going to primarily come down to a few factors that have to do with your business. And if it's not e-commerce and it's not ROAS, then that's for you to figure out. And if it's a specific type of business that's a little bit more back-end heavy, where you're selling customers on a upsell or a offer that's not profit collected in the front-end sale, then you should probably be focused on other metrics. But I'm going to be talking from the lens of an e-commerce seller to make it as relevant as possible for people. So scaling ads isn't just more money. There's an obvious myth, you can say misconception, that scaling ads is as easy as turning up budgets on winning ad sets. And as much as I wish that was the case, those days have been long gone since 2015, where you could essentially run a really shitty static. You could put it with a really big offer, no limitations from Facebook in terms of the wording and the way you display the price, and if you say the word free, things like that. And ever since then, it's only tapered downward. It's only come toward a point of less data and less transparency from Facebook. So scaling ads isn't just more money, and that's never been more true here in 2025. So the last step here of scaling, when you're absolutely confident in your ability to scale, then you increase budgets. But the fastest way you're going to lose your money is if you're not proactive and you're not watching your ad accounts on a regular basis. Now, this is where we can talk about AI, automation, and including that into the advertising world. There's this concept that AI is taking over in terms of decision making in advertising, and that's absolutely true. You want your processes and checks to be automated. Why would you want your entire business to depend on a VA or human error or your manual ability to check the ads every single day to make sure that your business can stay afloat? Especially in e-commerce, your day-to-day ads are going to be a huge part of your acquisition. And if you're not proactive and you're not very strict on thresholds on profitability, on ROAS, and your time to scale, you're just going to burn thousands of dollars, and if not thousands, tens of thousands. You're going to look back and you're going to think that you built an account with data and you're going to do retargeting later on, but there was probably 50, 60% of that spend that was completely unnecessary, and by being proactive, you're just saving yourself more money. So if you don't have automated systems in place already, I would highly encourage at every step of the way, including your creative side, you are looking at ways to automate it. Do you have an AI tool that can come through and make these changes on your behalf? Do you have a way to automatically check your key metrics and report on them, whether to text or email, to alert you, whether it's something you have to change right there or over time it's a bigger business problem? You're going to want to know as soon as possible. So most ads are going to flop when you scale up. 90% of your ads and your ad sets and your ad creatives, if not 95% of them, you're going to end up cutting, if not within a week, in the same time period of your testing period. Now, this is just natural. It's part of the process. There's not one company in the world that's just 100% on every single advertisement. And by you not identifying those 9 out of 10, and that's part of the game here, if you can't identify the 9 out of 10 ad sets that you're going to stop Facebook from charging your credit card for that week or that testing period, then you have a serious problem. And if you are looking at an ad account and you can only just say it's in a testing phase. Now, I hear that all the time. It's in a testing phase. That means that you're in a burning cash phase. It does not mean that you're testing effectively. You're not necessarily collecting customer data in the right way. You're not necessarily getting any purchases. Sometimes people will justify either a 0 ROAS or a really shitty ROAS by saying that they're collecting data. Now, collecting data doesn't mean that you burn money. At the end of the day, data will come with some sales, it will come with some results that you're looking for, and if something's giving you 0 results, it might just be time to end that ad set. It might be time to just shut it down. And there's nothing wrong with that. You should have that in your toolkit and ready to use at any time, the turn off ad set button. It should be your favorite thing to do. If you can do it, then you should do it. If you're looking at an ad set and you're not happy with the results, but you're on the edge of turning it off, just turn it off. You can make another ad set. You can start collecting data, quote unquote, again, and you can make that return elsewhere. So don't get attached to an ad set, whether or not it's been tested fully, if you're not going toward the direction that you need to be going in. If you have well-structured analytics from the first place, you're going to have a much easier time telling yourself what's a good ad set and what's not a good ad set. You need to have a traffic breakdown. You need to know which specific, whether it's through UTMs, whether it's through the server-side tracking, you need to have a good breakdown on where your traffic is coming from and how many of those people have converted in the way that you need them to. Some of the ways that you can do this, right? Obviously, you can go into all of the ad platforms and you can look at the last 30 days, the last 7 days ad data. Now, that's going to be the most basic thing. You're probably doing that, and if you're not doing that to the maximum extent, meaning utilizing all of the additional columns, the smaller things that you may have not seen before and you should be looking at, look at every single thing that Meta has to offer in terms of viewing your data, and download all of that data, put it into a Google sheet, and create a table. You're going to be looking for patterns that you probably can't see on platform. A lot of people will just stop at looking at the basic few stats that Meta or Google will show you, but it would be highly beneficial for you to do your own analysis. Now, depending on what your business is, it's going to look different. For e-commerce, it's probably the simplest. You're just looking at your profit. You're looking at every single creative. You're looking at the stats behind them. You're looking at how they differ, and maybe you'll find a discrepancy that you would never have seen if you were just looking at the standard display of data. So obviously in-platform ad data, it's huge. Don't sleep on it. Have your Google Analytics data set up. Make sure that's firing. Make sure that you're getting events on it consistently. This is going to be a good, transparent, and probably one of the most complete ways of viewing your website traffic online. So make sure that's set up correctly. And finally, whether it's automatically or manually, use this data to make good decisions. Watch for CPM spikes, watch for CPC spikes that are unusual. You should know your usual CPCs at any time of the day, or your usual CPA. And if you're getting reports from your system that you exceeded it by a certain threshold, then you should be taking action, and you should be taking action based off of data that you've collected, not data based off Facebook's in-platform stats. Make decisions based off of your Google Analytics combined with your in-platform conversions, combined with your payment processor and CRM platform to show you all four data sources align, and the conversions being reported on the front end are the same as the conversions being reported on the back end. And more importantly, be proactive about this. Don't let it be at the whim of the Facebook system. It's not going to fare you well, and it's not going to help long term in terms of your business. So one of the AI tools being used today is Birch. So Birch just simply allows you to upload a bunch of creatives at once. You don't have to limit yourself to splitting between a single ad set every single time. And honestly, it's one step toward AI implementation in ads. People will say that AI is taking over completely, but at the end of the day, there's no AI out there that's going to create the product, and you guys are the ones that are selling the product. If you probably wouldn't be watching this if you're not the one selling the product. So your job as the business owner is to automate every part of your business, including your advertising, as fast as possible. Now, that can't be at the expense of making your advertising that much less efficient than it would have been if you had done your best production, your best targeting, your best offer outside of all of these AI tools. There's yet to be an AI tool that's to compete with the best business owners out there and create the next best corporations and whatnot. So it's our job to implement these as fast as possible into our businesses and make sure that we're ahead of the game, where 95%, 90% of advertisers have yet to do any type of AI automation within their advertising. So implement Birch, start your creative testing. Birch has an entire suite. I'm not an affiliate, so I'm not going to do any link. I'm not going to do any sort of promotion, but I'm just trying to put out some good starting points for you guys to do the research, start thinking about how am I going to automate my ads? How am I going to put processes in place with whether they're called AI agents or tools or scripts? How are you going to, without giving the keys over to Meta and Google, have automated processes that you still control? It's very important that you start now, and one way is the Birch toolkit. Now, they do have auto pause, they have the auto threshold for ROAS. Some of these features are going to be useful, but now this is going to be completely case by case. I would suggest don't do any of the auto budget changes, especially if you're a smaller account still and you don't have regular routine things that you're doing in the account to maintain it. That there wouldn't be a reason for you to let the decision making be done by a robot just yet. If you're confident in it, obviously, then by all means, then do it. But if you're doing it as a substitute to creating a good funnel and creating a good product offering, then you're going to regret that down the line. When you not only pay the tool fees, you're just going to end up draining your budget over time. And you're going to blame the tool, and you're going to look back on it and say that, I should have known it was just ChatGPT thinking for me. Because none of these tools are going to be any smarter than the fastest LLMs and fastest AI tools out there. There's nothing here that's revolutionary in just one industry right now. That's just completely capable of thinking beyond a human yet. Now, obviously, that's obviously going to change. Hopefully, will change in the next 5 years, maybe 10 years. But we're at the point where it's important for us to implement AI, but not let AI take over the keys. And I made a video about this before with PMax and Advantage Plus and all of those types of in-suite tools that Meta and Google are offering. But definitely don't let AI be the end-all be-all here. Just implement it, implement automated processes into your workflow at every step of the way, and make sure that you're staying at the forefront of this. One of the fastest ways that you're going to lose money is simply over testing your creatives with no plan. Now, earlier when I'm saying upload several creatives, do a lot of A/B testing, I don't mean do that with a ton of shitty AI creatives and then hopefully some of them get approved and then some of them go. It's still not a free-for-all. Your static or your video needs to be top-notch, and every time that you press the launch button, it needs to be good enough for it to have a chance to reach all of your thresholds, your click-through rates, your CPMs, your ROAS. If you don't feel like it's up to par, then there's no point of spending a single penny on it. That's one of the biggest things. Don't just test creatives because you have them ready in the bank or you have some extra ad spend. Use that ad spend on one of your working creatives then. And I would say vice versa. If you have a really good working creative, don't put all of your budget into it. Keep some budget on the side. Make sure that you're still producing new creatives. You're still testing regularly. And then scale. When you're done with all of that, you've absolutely exhausted the angles at which you want to approach the customers, and you feel that you have a really good winning ad set that you're willing to put tens of thousands within a month. It's time to go. Start spending $20,000, start spending $25,000 in a month. Make sure your cash flow can handle that, and then go ahead and start a new testing phase. But milk something that's working and cut something that's not. And I put weeks here, but if it's months for you or if it's days for you, depending on your budget, act fast on it. If you're spending $5 a day, then you're going to take a long time to make these decisions. And that's something that I wanted to talk about. When you're looking at your ROAS versus your profit versus your spend over time, this is a relationship it's very key in advertising. It's a concept that everybody who's running ads should have a good personal view toward. Now, this is going to depend, obviously, on your business and whether or not ROAS even matters to you, but having a relationship in mind between your key metrics is the concept that I'm trying to push here. So I want to draw out, and I'm going to do a little whiteboard concept here. I'm just going to do 3 graphs stacked onto each other, with this being our profit. This is going to be our ROAS. And then this is going to be our ad spend. All right, in an ideal world, right, your ad spend is going to look a little bit like this. In a not so ideal world, your ad spend is going to look a little bit weaker, right? You're going to do smaller budgets, tons of $5 a day ad sets, and you're going to kind of go that direction. So when we're looking at these 2 different versions here, right? You want your ads to scale strong. You want a nice little starting point here. You don't want your initial point of data collection to be weak. Now, why do I say that? When you have ads that look like this and you have barely any spend, and I'm going to do all of the bad scenarios in red, good scenarios in black. Very simple. So when you have a really small ad budget and you're scaling slowly, you're going to spike your ROAS fast, you're going to tank down, and you're going to hope that you do another spike. And that too is on a day-to-day basis. You're going to hope that over time that you get a few sales that you can justify, and your Facebook algorithm and your Google algorithm is not going to have any data to work off of. It's basically fishing for customers out of millions of people and hoping that someone converts so it can have a better idea of who actually wants your product. And if this is one of your first ad sets in your account, or you're still spending a few K a month, this is going to look really bad on your profit loss. So I want to make that clear here. What is your profit going to look like? You're going to start off, your return on ad spend is going to look really good in the beginning. You're going to take a spike, and you're going to keep spending, and you don't have any more sales. So what's going to happen? You're going to tank. You're going to go negative. You're literally going to lose money. This is how people lose money, is they're looking at false positive signals. They're looking at things like a really good ROAS, and they're continuing to allow this type of budget spend. This is inefficient budget spend. You're essentially letting the Facebook algorithm swipe your credit card how you want to at these points. When there's no sales, you have a sale that you feel like there's a reason to continue spending on this ad set. Now let's look at what it would look like in an ideal way. You spend money on ads, you start with a good budget, continue, you cut some ad sets immediately, you know what's going on, so you instantly cut some bad sets. Now before we get to this scaling, what does our ROAS look like? Did we ever get to this insanely high signal? That's the question. And the answer is no. When you're scaling ads efficiently and you've given sufficient budget initially for the data to have been collected by the algorithm, you're going to have a good ROAS, but it's not necessarily going to be as misleading or as high as an inefficient ad set. Now, even the low part here, I drew it down, but when your ROAS is coming down over time, you're not going to experience as much of a tank in your metric down to zero as you would have at this low budget. When you're spending so inefficiently at this sort of middle collection area before you're ready to scale your ad set, you're going to be met with probably 0 to a few conversions, pretty much flatlining your return on ad spend. You want to be at a soft landing point, and let's say we got up to a 1 return on ad spend here. Yeah, at the bare minimum, you're coming down to a 0.5, 0.6, and before you're ready to scale, ideally, and see some kind of 5x return. I know it's crazy, but if you have a really good ad set and a really good creative, you can get there. This is what a really good return on ad spend chart should look like. The fact is that a lot of your ad sets are probably looking like this. You have false positives everywhere, and you guys continue to allow these ad sets to burn cash. This is adding up to thousands and thousands of dollars, and probably one of the reasons that you're limited on ad budget. What does the profit look like in this case? It's a lot more stable. We're not looking at some kind of initial spike and it's gone. We're looking at something, we go up, we stabilize, maybe we cut a bunch of ad sets, so we're losing some sales, and we're going to scale with our return on ad spend. So this is what we're looking for here. We want to soften the return on ad spend bottom point and make sure that in this area here, our data is just perfect, 100% accuracy. This is where we ensure it. If you're confident in what your return on ad spend is showing you here and what your actual profit numbers in your financial statement processor, your credit card processor, whatever you use to collect money, even if it's a crypto-based business, whatever actual money you're collecting, and if you're happy with that profit, then you're looking at some signs to scale. This is going to be one of the largest unnecessary budget drains. Overspending on fatigued creatives and overspending on ads with false positives. And how that looks is going to be dependent on your business. Identify these leaks in your funnel and make sure that every ad dollar you're spending is being tracked. It's important as a business owner. You know all your money in, you know all your money out, and one of your biggest money out situations is probably Facebook and Google. So know what they're doing when they charge you $15,000, $25,000 for your ad dollars, and understand where the return is coming from on every one of those. So if you guys are doing over $15,000 a month in ad spend and you're looking to scale or slash your budgets fast, then book a free audit at conversionwin.com, and I will see you guys again.